The snow came down like a warning that no one wanted to hear, thick and fast, swallowing the road and the world beyond it, when a single moment of kindness quietly changed several lives forever. On the edge of that frozen street, where the wind cut like a blade and most people chose not to look too closely, a young man made a decision that would echo far beyond that night. He never imagined that giving away his only warm coat would place him on a path that led straight into the shadow of a man everyone feared, a Hell's Angel biker with a reputation carved in steel and fire. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second and ask yourself this: do you believe that kindness can change destiny, that second chances still exist in a cold world? If you do, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes, because stories like this deserve to be remembered. The young man's name was Ethan, and he was the kind of person people rarely noticed. He worked long shifts at a warehouse, saved every spare dollar, and walked home most nights to save bus money. That evening, the snowstorm caught him by surprise. His hands were numb, his breath burned his lungs, and his jacket, old, heavy, and faded, was the only thing keeping him upright as the temperature dropped fast. The street along the chain-link fence was deserted, except for a shape curled against the metal, small and shaking, almost blending into the white ground. At first, Ethan tried to convince himself it was none of his business. He had bills to pay, dreams that barely survived paycheck to paycheck, and no safety net if he got sick. But as he drew closer, he saw a teenage girl, barely conscious, her legs pulled tight to her chest, her cheer uniform soaked through with snow, her lips pale and trembling. Ethan didn't know her name. He didn't know where she came from. All he knew was that she was freezing, and that walking away would haunt him longer than any cold ever could. Without thinking too long, he shrugged off his coat and wrapped it around her thin shoulders, shielding her from the wind as best he could. He stayed until he saw the flash of headlights in the distance and knew someone else would stop. By the time an engine roared closer, Ethan was already backing away, disappearing into the storm with nothing but a hoodie between him and the night. He didn't wait for thanks. He didn't want recognition. He just wanted to believe that, somehow, it mattered. The girl survived. Her name was Lily, and she was the daughter of a man whose name carried weight in places most people avoided. Her father, Marcus, was a Hell's Angel biker known for his temper and his silence, a man whose loyalty to his club was absolute and whose love for his daughter was the one soft place he never spoke about. When Marcus arrived at the hospital and saw Lily asleep under unfamiliar layers, clutching a battered old coat like it was a lifeline, something shifted inside him. He listened as nurses explained how close she'd come to hypothermia, how a stranger had found her and given up his own warmth without leaving a name. Marcus took the coat home. He studied it like a map, tracing frayed seams, the worn cuffs, the faint smell of oil and snow still clinging to it. For days, he said nothing, but his mind worked relentlessly. Someone had helped his daughter when he couldn't. Someone had risked their own safety to save what mattered most to him. In Marcus's world, debts were sacred. You didn't forget them. You didn't ignore them. You repaid them. Finding Ethan wasn't easy, but Marcus had resources most people never imagined. Cameras, questions asked in low voices, favors called in quietly. When he finally tracked Ethan down, it was outside the warehouse. Weeks later, the snow long melted but the cold still biting at night. Ethan had no idea he was being watched. He had no idea that the man leaning against a black motorcycle across the street was measuring him, not with anger, but with something heavier, respect. When Marcus finally approached, the air seemed to tighten. People nearby felt it without knowing why. Ethan saw the biker's colors, the scars, the presence that made instinct scream danger, and for a split second, he wondered if kindness had finally caught up with him in the worst way. His heart pounded as Marcus held out the coat, cleaned, repaired, warmer than before. The biker didn't speak threats. He didn't raise his voice. He simply looked at Ethan the way a storm looks at the shore, and nodded once. What happened next wasn't dramatic in the way movies show. There was no shouting, no sudden violence. There was an understanding that passed silently between two men from different worlds. Marcus didn't just return the coat. He made sure Ethan's life changed in ways no one else ever had. The next week, Ethan was offered a better position at work, one that paid enough to breathe for the first time in years. His rent issues disappeared. His broken heater was replaced. And when he later learned, through whispers and careful distance, who Marcus really was, the truth hit him harder than fear ever could. The most dangerous men he had ever encountered had chosen gratitude over intimidation. For Marcus, the change was quieter but deeper. Seeing his daughter laugh again, safe and warm, reminded him that the world wasn't only built on force. Kindness had reached Lily when power couldn't. And in honoring that kindness, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in decades, a sense that maybe redemption wasn't just a story other people got to live. Ethan never told his friends what really happened. He didn't boast. He didn't brag. He simply kept walking home, coat wrapped tight, heart a little steadier against the cold. He started volunteering once a month, helping where he could, because now he knew how far one moment could travel. Lily went back to school, back to cheering, but she never forgot the stranger who knelt in the snow and chose her life over his comfort. She carried that lesson forward, quietly, bravely. As this story draws close, take a moment and think about the times you walked past someone who needed help, or the times someone helped you when they didn't have to. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes, because these stories live on through you. And before we end, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with the word kindness if you believe that even the smallest act can change the biggest lives. The snow eventually melts. Roads clear. People move on. But somewhere, a coat still carries the memory of a night when fear met compassion, and compassion won. And in a world that often feels cold and unforgiving, that is how everyday heroes are made.